Hi, and thanks for watching another video from Pro Audio Development. This is Rick Perry for rickcperry.com. I've got this little wedge monitor that you've seen me modify in some of my videos in the past. I put a larger driver in it, but I didn't do anything with the tweeter. And the last time that I run this at a gig, the drummer said, "Hey man, your tweeter sounds a little scratchy." So I got looking at it, and sure enough it does. I mean, it still works. I can put a tone through it and it still works okay. If I send a tone through, that's 10K, 2.5. So that tells you that 2.5, that the tweeter is still working fine, but it's a little scratchy. So I broke out. I got a little. Let's see if I can pick the mixer. I got my little mini mixer over here and everything, and I've got a little mic. Let's set this back down on the tripod.
Check, and if you listen real close, you can probably hear the scratchiness in the tweeter. Can't turn it up too loud here before we get a little feedback, but every once in a while you can hear it. Sounds like you're rattling paper, like you're, talking through some paper. So I may end up trying to take this tweeter apart and show you what the rattling is. Probably the diaphragm. If it's got a diaphragm, it's probably ripped. So what we're going to do is put this. Pick it up here. I got this little All Pro tweeters that I bought off of eBay. These things were like 11 bucks for 2 of them. And what's cool about them is they don't have to be real high quality to run in a wedge monitor, because you're not really pushing it that hard. And I'm going to continue to talk on this mic so that you can possibly hear the rattling through the tweeter. But what's cool about this is 11 bucks. You got to modify the speaker for it to fit in there. But if you blow one, then you've got a second one that you can just bolt right in place. So we're going to go out to the workshop in a little bit, and we're going to cut the hole larger for this.
We're going to pull this grill off, and we're going to actually have to cut a hole and mount this horn tweeter about right here. The horn's going to give us a better dispersion of the sound. So coupled with this driver, it should work just fine. It's that larger driver that I put in, so I had to cut this hole slightly bigger. Cut it with the router. It's another video. So we should be able to pull this cap off and look at the diaphragm, and it's either got trash in it from the front, or either the diaphragm's busted. I want to show you what I like about this wedge. It's this little power robber. It's basically like a variac, and you can adjust the volume, so it's nice to be able to crank it wide open and really mix this wedge ultra loud, louder than you would normally use, and then turn it down so the drummer can simply just reach over and turn it up a little bit if he needs to. So we don't want to kill the tweeter, because it could be reused. See all that? That's your scratchiness right there. So actually, oops, I dropped it. Actually, you can clean all this out and put this back together, and it will probably be just fine. Okay, I'm back. What I come across is made me a little template here, and what we're going to do is I was going to try to cut this hole just right so that I could use this existing hole and mount the tweeter. What I come across here was, if you see this line, this is my Sharpie line, that if I put this as far as I can up against that line, I still have a hole here. So there's no way for me to mount this in the existing hole and be able to cover that hole up. So I got to thinking, in my days of car stereo work, all these are patterns that I've done in custom interiors and custom, you know, speaker grills and whatnot. Well, I said what I could do is I could take my router with my circle cutter, and I can just cut a circle, solid of course, and just plug this. And the way you hold it in the hole is you would take a backer piece, and imagine this is solid, and you glue it on there. So you've got this, and then you put this in from the back side like this, and you seal that in. And when you're done, you paint it black, and if you want to, you can Bondo over it and sand it down, and use textured paint, and it'll look just like this when you're done. It's a real neat way to plug a hole in. But we're not going to go that far with this, because this is, you know, economy budget buy. You know, it's just something to get the wedge monitor playing again. And since we found the dirt inside here, we could probably bolt this back in and probably be good to go again. But I still want to try to mount these in here because I've got them. So, plus these will be a little bit brighter sound. So instead of plugging the hole, instead of breaking out the circle cutter, and actually I was planning on doing that, but I started searching around, and I don't have a piece of 3/4 plywood wide enough. This is all I've got left in the shop. And I'd have to go buy plywood, cut it, use a circle cutter, trial and error. It'd probably take 3 different times to get the plug to fit just right, nice and tight. And I don't have any Bondo, so I said, nah, I'm just going to forget about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bolt this back in the hole and leave it. And then I'm going to cut this hole right below it and mount this in here. So it'll look like it's a 3-way speaker, but this will actually be the only driver, the only high-end driver playing. So that's our plan now. So I've got these pieces cut, and these are the pieces that I'm going to show you that we're going to brad into place so that we can cut the hole. So let me get the compressor aired up and get some stuff off the table, and I'll come back and we'll brad these in place. The 1 1/4, since I've chose the 3/4 and the 1/4 inch, that gives me just enough for the brad to stick through. We're only going to attach it in a couple of places because all we're doing is just giving a level place for our jigsaw to ride on. Okay, now we get our pieces. Alright, first piece lays in the inner piece here, and that one's on top. Hopefully this is countersunk. Yeah. Okay. Alright. There's my cutout. Not too bad. So we got a little trimming to do. Okay. What I've found is, interestingly enough, if you take this driver and you were to cut this, it looks like almost 2.5. Yeah, 2.5. So then you look at the face of it, and that's 3 1/8. So if you go here to 2 1/2, if you were to cut that hole in the center 2 1/2, these screws would have nowhere to go. So I got to thinking about it, so actually what I did is I cut them offset, and that's what I ended up with. And I actually had to cut this little notch here so I wouldn't have to bend the little wire tab over. So I did a keyhole, is what I did. So this ends up going in here like, oops, wrong way, like this. And going in and turning, and that's the way it fits in the hole. Okay, now we put our woofer in. And there you go. Okay, I got my little test rig set up here, same one that I tested with a minute ago, well, before we started. So, I've got a microphone set up and I can talk through this. Check 1, 2. And I'm going to crank it as loud as I can. It's just trying to feedback there. And you'll notice that you do not have that sound like we started off with. Check 1, 2. There's still a little ring in it. I'll step off to the side. Now we do not have the scratchy sound like we started off with. So it sounds about the same. The real test will be when you have a lot of stage music and you got this thing really cranked up hard up on stage. This is the point where you would actually play some music through this and you could flip the polarity on the tweeter. Right now it should be correct. Now depending on how this thing would sound, if you flipped it up on its edge and played music and kind of walk around it while you're listening and then flip the polarity on the tweeter and then walk around and listen to it, and see what the presence sounds like coming through the tweeter. Be looking for the other video where I show the Galaxy audio. It's called a Cricket, and I'm about to shoot that video right now. So be looking for that video very soon, and I'm about to show how you can test your speakers while they're set up. You can test it in a house of worship, main PA system, it doesn't matter. This thing is totally universal, and I'm about to show you how that works. Okay, I want to add on to this video a little bit. I'm not going to play the music because YouTube freaks out on stuff sometimes with copyright, but I tried this both ways. I tried it polarity correct, polarity reversed, and with a vocal mic and playing music, this sounds better with the tweeter wired out of phase, with the positive of the speaker of the woofer going to the negative of the tweeter. So that's the way I'm going to assemble this thing. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed my videos. Please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment if you want to. Come to my website, rickcperry.com. I appreciate you watching.